LowLandLions versus Gamers2. This is the first game in our best of 3 here, ladies and gentlemen, our very first semi-finals in the playoffs. And the winner of this will go to the live grand finals next week, which will be hijacking the LCS studio. And the teams will be there live. So very interested to see who comes out on top here, Stress.
We're taking it. It's ours. I scouted it out last week.
Oh, yeah?
I got all the security.
Weakness?
Found
Nice.
the weaknesses. We're taking it over. Just don't tell them, okay? Nobody tell them we're coming.
Well, hopefully they have the Metal Gear guards where we can just sneak past and it's just like, oh, they're streaming from our studio. Let's see what Gamers2 are doing in the top side of the map, though. They're all congregated around there. Will they just set up this depth push facility? Oh, he catches them, but he gets catched himself. That's not a word, but he is going to go back to his turret. He does get tagged by the binding, but the rest of the team may be heading into the jungle now. Of course, they know that they've been spotted, and LowLandLions have responded by going into the opposing jungle themselves, but they're 4v5, they head into a confrontation.
That could have gone a lot worse for Visility there. That really could have been a big play to begin. Now, Visility, yes, they've seen that go down, so Visility is... should know that's happening, and the rest of LowLandLions are around the back now. Gamers2 are a little bit boxed in, but there's no way Visility can actually get to the rest of his team without crossing the ward line here for LowLandLions. And Gamers2 are going to back away. They've both got deep vision into each other's jungle. However, there isn't actually vision to spot the lane swap as such from LowLandLions, and that may become problematic depending on exactly where G2 show themselves. Yeah, so Jeebus and Hiva have gone back to base and they will be heading into the bottom lane here, so they should get the dual lanes coming out. They did see Visility actually pass through that base gate ward, so they know he's heading into the bot side of the map. And now they definitely know he's here, and he's actually setting up the lane just in case it's the 2v1. So the problem about this, yes, he's going to set up the lane, but as it's, actually Hybrid, scrap the bottom lane because Ica, this is a very different type. There's the auto, CosQ follows up with some damage. There's the Ignite as well from Hybrid, so he burns out in the mid lane just to send Ica packing, and he will have to go back to base. He doesn't even bother spending the biscuits, and yeah, he's going to be out of commission for a couple seconds. But now that that Hybrid has realized that it's actually a 1 versus 2 right now in the bottom lane, Visility hasn't been able to push up and get any real farm done here. He's only on the 1 CS to 4. Now they're back to the 2v2. Should be okay, but that was a little touch and go there for Hybrid. Rome thinking it would have been a 1v1 in that bottom lane. Yeah, it's only put Visility a couple CS behind, but it's not going to feel the long-term impact. And we have to now wonder what the impact of this top lane is going to be now with SmittyJ and Morsu going head-to-head. We didn't see SmittyJ start with that flask on its own and then do a camp and teleport back. So this will be a straight-up matchup here in the top lane. And SmittyJ actually just took a turret shot. That is probably something he's going to not want to do for the rest of this laning phase if he wants to go up against Morsu. Because if there is one thing that Morsu can do very well, it is these 1v1 situations in the top lane. Yeah, he's going to have to get itemized first, but yeah, once he gets there, he's very difficult to deal with because there's almost no real way of dealing with him because he'll just keep jumping around with a Z, and he won't be building Zonias. He'll be going for the AD Fizz build, most likely, with Triforce and the Blade of the Ruin King, which is what we've been seeing Fizz do as of late. We'll see if he'll be doing that. But SmittyJ should be able to play around this. He's played it himself. Hybrid comes out with the Flay in the bot lane. There's the auto. There's the follow-up from Visility. That's all they want for now. Hybrid is still spotted out by that ward, and Kyrie looking maybe to go from the backside and see if he can close in with his pincer movement. I've seen this kind of setup before, and this was pretty much what happened against Origin at about this time into the game. Kyrie, one spear. It landed. No follow-up from the hook from Hybrid, though. Literally inches away from Hiva. Even so, not quite the target they were looking for, as Jeebus was there, one under their crosshairs. But at this point, Kyrie's put enough pressure on this bottom side of the map. You can see the pressure on the middle lane as well that Kyrie's having. Just throws a spear in, but it's all from that roam from Hybrid, putting CosQ ahead early on. Just because they didn't really get anything from Ica, it did pass over the lane presence to this Cassiopeia, though. They chunked Ari so hard, but bottom lane, they're chunking Hiva. Yeah, Hybrid just never fails to land hooks. You saw it against Miffy as well. He just could not escape them. Hybrid is continuing to put down the pressure, and it means they are slightly ahead in this lane, but nothing to write home about just yet. And Gilius, just out of range, I think, of that ward to see that they were there. And Gilius will be heading through the rest of his jungle. As you mentioned, his early clear maybe not as good as it was, but
he has gone for the Trailblazer, so he should be able to get through his jungle just fine now.
Yeah, that'll help him out. Just keep clearing through. On the other hand, Kyrie hasn't yet opted for anything. If you think back, Kyrie has been one of the players that has opted for, I believe it's the tier build on Nidalee. We saw him rush that very, very early on. Oh, another hook lands in that bottom lane, and yes, they can't follow up, but every single time, G2 are getting pressured out. And this was the bottom lane that Visility was on his own in as they began this game, so they really didn't pressure out Graves at all in the early game.
Yeah, this is also the Heaver who is continuing to not quite land his Black Shields. I don't think I've seen a single Black Shield that's gone in before the hook, and every single time Jeebus has been dragged in regardless, so he needs to be a little sharper on those as the hooks keep landing. Mid lane, as you mentioned, significant advantage now to Cosq, 45 CS to 24 from Cosq in here. Neither have gone back just yet. Neither have really spent any of their potions either, so they're just mostly farming it out, and Cosq's getting the better of Ica.
Ica was quite vocal yesterday on Twitter. There was a series of interactions between some of the players and also with regards to the Challenger chat show that was posted yesterday as well. Ica taking a little bit to heart some of the people's comments about Gamers2 and his strength on the team. So he's really been looking to kind of raise his status within the team, but he's not quite getting there with the CS difference quite yet. Kyrie actually just walks straight into the lane. SmittyJ, a little bit trapped here, no flash.
Yeah, nice juke from Morsu though. There's to chum the waters. Kyrie's taking a bunch of damage. There's the first blood in the 1v2. It won't be the second kill for Smitty as Morsu does wipe him up, but still, they do get that one kill and the assist, so slight advantage to LowLandLions, even though that was not quite how they wanted it to turn out.
Man, you can't underestimate the damage that's going to come from this Hecarim, though. You can see he basically just turns what should have been fairly easy 2v1 into a 1-for-1 trade overall. We'll see what he opts for now, as he does have a little bit of gold. Yes, has opted for those Home Guard level 3 boots here. Will he use his teleport is the question, because he may very well require that. Now that he's got Home Guard, can just run out.
And he's almost back in lane literally just a couple seconds ago. Home Guard so good on Hecarim, allows him to go for those ganks and return to the lane very, very quickly, so doesn't even have to expend that vital summoner of teleport.
It also gives him quite a big burst of damage on that initial hit as well.
It does. Comes in with the Sonic Boom, just with the E, so much damage as that translates with his passive.
Something as well, SmittyJ is not a fan of Robot Unicorn attack.
He's not, no.
He's opted, however, for the Headless Horseman instead.
It's a solid play. Let's see if it pans out. Morsu is continuing with his CS, and he's pretty much equal with Hecarim. So the Hecarim pick against those melee top laners has not quite put down the pressure that he may have wanted. We just have a large minion wave heading towards him. Gilius is going to be utilizing that minion wave to see if he can get in for a gank here. Morsu is very slippery with his E and his flash. See if he can get the kill off, as Smitty does not have his ult, but Gilius does, and his flash as well. Morsu is now feeling the attack. Gilius, well, he uses ultimate. There's the Arctic Assault. He burns the flash. Good gank.
Gets the flash, yeah, didn't even have to use his ultimate there, and we talked a little bit in Champion Select about the Sejuani changes. If you don't hit it, it's from a 90% slow down to about a 30% slow, and that is a massive difference if you don't hit that ult. But the Lantern in the bottom lane, and a long trip, but Kyrie's
there's
in
the
trouble.
flash on the Arctic Assault. Ica from the mid lane as well with the Foxfires takes down Kyrie as he's trying to prowl through the jungle. SmittyJ in the top lane receives the Chum the Waters. There's the damage amp from Morsu as well. The auto attacks, having to use SmittyJ's ultimate to get away from that. So Morsu takes control of the lane, but he's very low.
He is very low, but you can see just how much damage Morsu can do in these situations. As we said, 1 versus 1. SmittyJ a little bit feeling the pressure in the trades, but still ahead in CS. Keep in mind, until Morsu really gets his flash up, though, he can't really risk going aggressive on Smitty when his ult is up. But now that Smitty's ult is down, Morsu may be able to just burst him.
Gilius is here 1v1. Can he do the damage in time? Yes, he can. Urchin strike with a Seastone Trident. Gilius gets a little bit juked there by Morsu. There's the Arctic Assault. Needs to get in range for the Frost passive and get the Permafrost down, but he can't quite connect the auto attack. Morsu is going to be juking with the Urchin strike. He has E in 4 seconds. He just needs to buy time. He's got the ward coming down, but Ica's come in from the mid lane. Cosq in hot pursuit, though. Morsu's got the minion down, but he has the passive to try and reduce some of that. He's got the Urchin strike down. Cosq was on the hunt, but he was not in range to get taken out by Iker, and that's LowLandLions taking the Dragon as well.
Great individual play out of Morsu. Knew exactly the pathing he had to take to kind of juke Gilius out there, and if nothing else, wasted the time from the rest of Gamers2 so they can take a Dragon. LowLandLions now ahead, both in gold and in the Dragons. That was a really good play.
Yeah, you can just see that Iker all the way through that was like, I wish I had bought boots, because that would have been enough to catch up. He, in fact, opted towards the Ruby Crystal instead for the extra tanky stats. Either way, that is Morsu getting away scot-free. He is still heading towards his Trinity Force. He's now picked up the Phage on top of his Sheen. And now Kyrie, with a nice rotation to the bot lane, will be able to secure the first tower of the game for LowLandLions.
And LowLandLions, one of the things that they actually do really well is their coordination between their players. When it comes to playing a split push game, when it comes to playing an objective game, they're actually one of the best teams that we have here in European Challenger, and that really just shows in its stats. They have the most Dragons and Barons out of all teams in the European Challenger Series. So that's the first objective like that in the books with the Dragon and the Tower.
Very impressive stat there, but Morsu, that's not your lane. He's now in mid lane, and they've performed the swap up. Kozq now in the top lane, but he'll be heading into the river maybe for the crab, it looks like. Iker is still following through with the damage, but he's still behind his mid laner. Heaver takes a javelin to the face. Morsu does not choose to follow up, as Iker is also there. Second spear almost landing. And Gilius is also around that area, maybe looking to set up for a potential something. There's no dragon there,
well,
so...
This is an interesting little swap here from Kozq and Morsu. When you look at it, Morsu was actually doing well in the trades, but was losing out in CS in the middle lane, whereas it's the opposite for the middle lane, where Kozq is way ahead in CS, but there's a lot of people in mid lane, so Kozq just kind of wants to farm his way up, get his tier stacked, get later into the game to get the damage, but it's kind of just releasing a fair amount of the pressure here that is on Iker, and I wonder whether that could potentially come back to be a little bit of a misplay out of LowLandLions. They need to maybe force things in this top lane fairly soon, but it's bottom lane. Binding has landed for Gamers2. That's going to spell the end of any kind of engages here from LowLandLions.
So it's past 10 minutes now, but it's still worth mentioning that LowLandLions are always behind in their CS, or on average they are behind in CS at 10 minutes, whereas Gamers2 are always ahead. That is not the case this game, as Kozq is ahead in his mid lane.
Ult's available.
SmittyJ in top lane. Nice juke over the back of the snake, but he's still chasing him down, maybe for the kill. Onslaught of Shadows. He'll flash away. He'll burn the summoner. Kyrie comes out with a takedown pounce and gets the kill. That was a little too close for comfort, as Kozq has to burn both of his summoners.
Yeah, Kozq really shouldn't have even had to use either of his summoners in that kind of situation. So, little bit of a misplay by Kozq, but SmittyJ keeping themselves in it. However, it's bottom lane. Gilius is just going to show himself straight away. Ultimate is available. Minion wave pushing in.
Nice ult, lands right onto Facility. Oh, the Lantern with the flash as well. There comes the flay just in case he followed up. Hybrid, what a play.
Great Lantern out there, and Gilius used his ult early on that engage. Hook has landed onto Gilius. There's no real follow-up damage, but this is just to stop them from putting any damage down onto this turret, but a new wave will refresh the minions, and this turret doesn't look like it's going to be sticking around for too much longer. Yeah,
as the binding doesn't land onto Facility, trying to clear out these minions. They have indeed done so, pretty much wasted a lot of Gilius' time down there. Very nicely played by the bot lane duo of LowLandLions. Let's take a look at some of the items, though. 13 minutes into this game, Morsu has completed his Triforce as his first item. And on the opposing side, SmittyJ also apparently looking towards his Triforce with the Phage and the Amp Tome towards the Sheen. Has, of course, gotten those home guards, as we mentioned earlier. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Kozq, you can see him taking blue buff, but he's got the Archangel staff, so he's gone for the tier, and actually didn't go tier into Ludens, he just went straight for the Archangels.
Yes, he has gone straight for that Archangel skin. He needs to ramp it up as fast as he can. He's only at about 300 stacks so far, which, you know, with that Archangel's complete, it's going to stack faster, so it should be just about on time, but it's the massive CS difference that Kozq is really concerned about right now, and he is way ahead of Iker from that middle lane. He's prevented Iker from really roaming at all, and every time that Iker has tried, it's been Kozq there behind him. However, why roam when you might be able to catch somebody coming straight past your lane?
He whiffs the binds as he's walking in a straight line, but it doesn't seem to matter because Iker still follows up with his full combo. Will burn the Ignite as well. That should have been a little smoother from Ica there, but they burned both of the... in fact, they burned 2 summoners in the form of Flash and then the Ignite from Ica.
And both teams maybe looking a little bit unsettled to begin this one. A couple of plays that really should be a lot cleaner are very messy right now, with bindings missing. The top lane ult as well. So it is first game of a best-of-3 series. We'll see if any of the teams really start to find their groove a little bit better. But now 2 pushing in this middle lane. Hybrid is there, and he's got Visibility as well. So it's going to be able to clear the wave out as well. Gilius shows himself, hooks on the minion.
Yeah, and would have been onto Gillis had that minion just happened not to be there. Morsu and Kyrie in the top lane, still pushing away, so they get their second turret and defend the middle turret as well. So LowLandLions really commanding on the objective game so far. Jeebus should be able to get the first tower of the game for Gamers2 in the bot lane. There we go. But when you're a team and you start making mistakes against LowLandLions, they will capitalize. We've seen that multiple times where people make one small mistake and LowLandLions, they always capitalize on it.
And this is a split push game as well. Kyrie's getting forced back, but Morsu's free to just sit under this turret for a little bit longer.
That's a big crit as well. There comes the Eve, flattens him down. Goodbye, Hecarim. Gilius now comes into the top lane. He's 1 on 2. There's the ultimate onto Kyrie, and Morsu just kind of leaves him out to dry.
He's getting the
as
turret.
Kyrie tries to get away here, Morsu just finishes off the turret. He'll easily take that kill for a turret any day of the week. And LowLandLions continue to pull ahead. Really
well balanced there by LowLandLions. They knew that they had the damage to kill SmittyJ, and knew that Gilius had to pick one target. They get a turret from it. This split push game is really difficult to deal with, how coordinated the LowLandLions are, and Morsu is already pretty huge. 3-0-0 in this game so far.
Well, we were definitely interested in how the top laners would interact because they are the focal points of the teams. But so far, it seems like Morsu is pulling ahead 1-4 on SmittyJ, and Gamers2 go for a very nice dragon.
Yeah, it's very important for them to take this dragon now because Jeebus has to back to get his Trinity Force. That's what the bottom lane turret gave him the gold for. So they had to get the dragon and then recall rather than, wait for the dragon because they wouldn't have had the power spike to fight a full team fight against LowLandLions. And Kyrie just died in the top lane. So good timing out of Gamers2, knowing what they had to do. But now that they've got it back, LowLandLions, again, they're all together as a unit, looking to push down turrets. Morsu has a fair amount of damage. Now, look at how fast that tower is dying at only 17 minutes into the game.
Yeah, counterplay on counterplay. Hiva does get hooked in. There's the Black Shield, but he just gets destroyed by Morsu.
I thought...
Oh, that damage from Urchin Strike.
I legitimately thought he'd flashed to the side, and he was just off the screen. I legitimately was like, well, there was no animation on that flash. No, he just got destroyed. Straight up 100-0.
Yeah, the Sheen, the Seastone Trident from W, and then the Urchin Strike.
Crazy.
Literally 60% of
And now bot lane. This is just so good out of LowLandLions with how they're pushing. G2 just cannot settle themselves against this amount of pressure across the map. They let Morsu have a champion that he is very comfortable on. This is his 3rd game here in Challenger Series on the Fizz, and it's been banned in most of the other ones. It's very strange that G2 would let Morsu get the champion like this.
Yeah, you really have to question whether that LeBlanc ban was worth it from Gamers2 against CosQ, because the only ban that they let through was the Fizz, which they banned out last time they played them.
Also, LeBlanc isn't quite as tough to play against as she used to be. Still very strong. She did have slight changes, slight AP ratios on her mimicked abilities. So it's not taking her out of the top tier, it just makes her that little bit less deadly.
Yeah, for context, it's 0.005 of all her ratios. So it's a little bit, but it's definitely a little bit all the same. And an opponent of LeBlanc will take everything they can get from being detonated. But Hiva, now back from the graveyard, is looking to ward up. I haven't really been paying too much attention to the Vision game because it's all been about the kills and objectives so far, but now the teams are starting to ward up as they can.
And it's interesting that you bring up the Vision game, actually, in this matchup. Because LowLandLions have statistically the worst warding in the European Challenger Series. They only place a ward just over every 2 minutes on average. And then you look at G2, they are tied 2nd for the worst warding as well. They're actually tied with Mouse, who, as most people know, didn't have a win for 4 weeks. So both of these teams, if you look at one area that they could really look to improve on, warding would certainly be it. But when you're ahead right now, as LowLandLions are right now, they're not all that focused on their warding game. They're focused on let's get towers, let's get objectives, and stay ahead. Because if we're stood right in front of their turrets taking them,
It doesn't matter if
we
you can
know
see
exactly
me.
what they are. Yeah, exactly. But still, there's some interesting stats in this matchup.
Yeah, for sure. But now we've kind of hit more of a low period the teams are looking toward, but it's definitely like they can't seem to multitask in that sense. It's like, we'll push up your towers, but we won't also keep up our vision game by doing so. Now, Heaver over the wall. He does have Flash if he can go for that Flash Soul Shackle engage. But Morsu is pretty much by himself right now with Hybrid and Kyrie coming up the rear.
And one thing that I think actually may lead to the warding is look at how empty jungle, mid, and AD carry are of wards for both teams right now. Mainly sweepers, a blue trinket, but no purchased wards, no consumables in their inventory. Now, that either tells you that their back timing has just been perfect from all three players and they didn't have any money at all, hit it on 0 and quit it, or they just didn't pick any up. So that's one of the interesting things I want to keep a track of, at least mentally to myself, for the rest of this matchup.
But I have to get my next damage spike. I can't
Exactly,
put it on wards.
That's 75 gold.
He'll put me behind, but wow, that's an interesting fan vote coming in here. 76% over to Gamers2, and that would be the quote-unquote safe bet, because an on-form Gamers2, yes, is very good, and have proven so during the previous weeks, but we've also seen how good LowLandLions are at upsetting teams and capitalizing on mistakes like they are in this game, even though we've kind of hit more of a slow point, which I feel is going to ramp up in the next couple seconds. Yeah,
it certainly is going to ramp up as LowLandLions push up. Although a missed hook. Oh, Gilius flashes in.
He comes in. There's the ultimate coming across. Heaver does land his binding, but a great ultimate by Coscu lands onto 2. There's collateral damage. Morsu follows up as well. SmittyJ only now uses ultimate onto the back line and will take down the counterpart of Morsu, but that's 4 of the players from Gamers2 down for the count. Spear comes across, does not quite land onto Ica, but it's 1 versus 4 here, and a minion wave is flooding in.
Great ultimate out of Coscu to hold that fight, and LowLandLions are going to get turrets from it as well, but you could see how much engaged SmittyJ had and Gilius. They locked down a good 2 or 3 people with each engage, but they just didn't have the damage to follow it after they'd used everything on Morsu. Morsu burned down early in that fight, leads them now to be in the position to take a Baron.
Ica does not have his ultimate, he has Flash and doesn't have Ignite. We'll see how this one goes. Everyone is very low from LowLandLions. If he did have ultimate, this would be a quadra, but can he do anything more? There's the teleport coming in from Morsu, and that's enough to dissuade Ica from trying anything. Just tries to go for the steal, but Kyrie was able to take that down with his smite. Let's see the last fight once again.
Yeah, we will. Here's the engage out of Gilius. You see it locks down 2 people, but it's Hybrid and Kyrie that, they're not dealing the most amount of damage right now. Morsu exhausted almost instantly, and then gets shredded down. Ica burns everything to try and get him, and really not everything hit there either. And Coscu flashes, picks up his kill. SmittyJ will be next to fall as well, but you can see just how much was burned trying to get Morsu down, and really just that was the end of that team fight as soon as he fell.
Well, following the Baron, it is now time for Dragon, and this will be their second Dragon of the game for LowLandLions coming in here. That will be easily going over them. There's nothing Gilius can do about it. And we haven't really seen a fight where Gamers2 have initiated with a Hecarim and using what Hecarim is there for. It's only been LowLandLions initiating onto Gamers2, so I'd be interested in seeing a team fight where that was the scenario, but they need to not fall too far behind before that happens. SmittyJ will get himself a top turret here, but is the rest of his team kind of out in the open because he doesn't have his teleport to get involved?
In theory, though, Gamers2 should have been at that power spike a little while ago off that Trinity Force from both their top and AD carry players, and they really didn't utilize it very well. They didn't reach that point and say, okay, now we have to fight, because there was really nothing to fight over. LowLandLions had already pushed that mid outer, Dragon wasn't available, and then they take a team fight in which they use everything and get not a lot from it. And LowLandLions will be happy with that because they've just hit another big power spike as well. You look at it, now we've got a needlessly large rod and 2 items onto the Cassiopeia. Static Shiv has been completed onto Graves for that extra attack speed as well. And a Blade of the Ruin King onto Fizz is a lot of items here that gives LowLandLions a lot of power and gives that man Morsu all the potential to split push here.
Well, here's the 4-1, and LowLandLions, they just need to take it slow in the bot lane, but 4v4 is not a Gamers2 who like their chances, so LowLandLions take away the last inner turret here, and Morsu will be just harassing down SmittyJ. That's a nice bit of return damage, but it's Morsu with the lifesteal.
One thing that SmittyJ will have for Gamers2 is teleport advantage in about 30 seconds to a minute. They'll have a good minute window where they'll have teleport available and Morsu won't, but the problem is, if you teleport out of that lane, Fizz will take your tower and potentially kill you while your teleport is channeling if his ultimate is up. You can also stop it as well. So it's all on SmittyJ to be smart with his teleport if he does choose to use it in that small window.
He really has to make it count, that's for sure. Yeah. Because Morsu, regardless of the scenario, regardless of the outcome, will take away your base. SmittyJ heading back into the top lane here. Of course, the perfect scenario would be for him to be in base so he gets the home guard as well, but can't really afford that luxury when Morsu's banging on the front door in the top lane. CosQ, you're going to be securing these crabs. And you were talking about the items of item builds before, but CosQ has opted towards the Rylai's Crystal Scepter over what we've been seeing typically, and has now gone for a needlessly large rod. So perhaps looking for a death cap. Of course, that was one of the changes in 5.6, where now death cap and her passive stack additively rather than multiplicatively. So he actually loses around 12% damage when you get to the late game.
That's difficult to say. Multiplicatively.
Yes.
I can't say that. I wouldn't have even tried if I hadn't tried that.
I went all in.
hey, you got it. It also changes a long time ago as well to the Rylai's Crystal Scepter that it meant it now applies on Twin Fang, I believe it was. Or the Q it was, I believe. The long change ago.
Blast.
Yes, exactly. But changes that have allowed Cassiopeia to bring that. Interestingly, as you mentioned earlier, I wonder whether this is going to be a Luden's Echo or whether it will be the Rabadons, because that's the other option that we've seen a couple of players. It is the Rabadons completed, so not opting for that heavy wave clear build with the Luden's Echo that we saw a couple of times in the EU LCS. So differences here between challenger players' mentality and of course with the patch changes on 5.6.
Yeah, also with the Rylai's, like once you start twin fanging someone, they're never going to get away. Yeah. Because it's single target slow versus the AoE, which is even more in Rylai's, so they're pretty dead. Gilius as well, he'll be melted by that build. I'm taking a look at Visility for an interesting pickup. He's gone for his two damage items first, and he's now gone straight into a Quicksilver Sash.
Yeah, that's a fairly early Quicksilver Sash when you look at things. That's the kind of timing you'd expect to see a Quicksilver Sash against Zed. No Zed in this game. This is purely to QSS off a lot of the crowd control that Gamers2 have, because he knows he doesn't need a Last Whisper right this second. And it's just important for him to stay alive in these fights. So very smart itemization. Hook is landed on Hiva into the shield.
Well, see if it helps him this time around. He's going to wait for the stun to go down. Oh, he can just kill Morgana instead. Gilius now comes in with his big ultimate onto 2. Icarus now turns up in the fight. Hybrid should be falling. He finally goes down as Smitty takes him out with the Rampage and the E, but Kyra is there to take him out. There's the ultimate finally, but a triple kill for Visility. That was definitely a value pickup, and he didn't even need to use it. Morsu now onto Ica, lands the ultimate as well. There is the 5-for-1 ace from LowLandLions, all in a blink of an eye. They just turn it on Gamers2, and this looks like it might be the game.
It is going to be the game at this point. Still a good 20 seconds on most people. LowLandLions, we said their comp had damage, but they just destroyed Gamers2.
Wow, LowLandLions in this first semi-finals in the playoffs go 1-0 in this best-of-3 game.